There we go. Hey, we're live, everybody. I'm Tim Gillette, and welcome to another Tim Gillette show. Today, I get to bring back a guest from last year, someone who I've gotten to know a little bit by, first of all, I've seen her on screen last year. Second of all, kind of following this girl around. She's doing some things, even with COVID. She ain't sitting still. She's moving. And that's what this whole series this month is about. That it's people who've actually said, you know what? Screw COVID. We're going to keep doing. We're going to find something else. We're going to keep moving on. This girl here is an example of it, and I'm glad to have her back. Jen Sugermeyer. She was a guest last year, and she is back here with more. Let's bring her up. Hey, Jen.
Hey, hey.
Hey. So, you know what I mean? What's up with you? You've been traveling the world, it seems.
I'm saying, like, COVID was great for so many reasons. And if you optimize, like, traveling, it was like $70 to go anywhere. It was so good. So I've been all over the place. I've traveled more now than, I was always an avid traveler, but I absolutely dialed it up a notch, or I kept it going during COVID. So, yeah.
Were you worried getting on planes or anything like that, or no?
No. I mean, you follow the guidelines. I did everything that was told, you follow the rules. That's it. Follow the rules and wear your mask when they tell you. And that's what I did. So you just get used to it. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny because I was telling you just before the show went on that like in August last year, I flew out. It was the only flight I took during the whole shutdown area was August. And I have a real issue with masks. Not that I'm against them, like the claustrophobia of having them on. All right. And I had an issue when I used to paint cars that they found me passed out in a booth one time from having a mask on type deal. That's why I'm not in that line of work anymore. And I was scared of it. So I'm like, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to go to California. I've got to help my friend. I've got to move him back here. What do? I got to get on a flight. So I'm like, how do I handle it? And I got on the flight. I had my mask on, but I kept a bag of like peanuts that I bought. And every time I felt nervous or, you know what I mean, I just would pull it down and have a peanut and put it back up. And that's how I got over it. So now I'm like, because it's a 3-hour flight. You've got to have the mask on for 3 hours. And that was my only, you know what I mean, that or to have a drink. And it got me through it. And I'm like, okay, I can do it now. Okay, I can do it.
Yeah. And they have all different kinds of masks. So like, I really liked the ones that were like those big, like face ones, not like the paper, those crappy paper ones, but like those big ones that look like you're robbing a bank. I like those ones. Yeah, those ones. They were kind of
and it's it's not that I'm against masks. I am sick of having them now. I'm just saying I'm sick of having them. But like, I was supposed to fly up to see my wife this weekend. She's actually in Jersey, and I was like, I'll fly up. But I realized I was going to have like 16 hours there, and I'd have to turn around and fly back. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to Jersey for 16 hours. Jersey's just not worth 16 hours.
Okay, well, I hope your wife doesn't watch this.
No. I won't be able to see her much because she'll be working the whole time. So like I'll see her at night to have dinner, and that's it.
Jersey.
I'm there for 16 hours to hang out in her hotel room. That's what it is.
Yeah. No, I got it.
I have a client up there, and I have a mastermind member, and my daughter lives outside of Philly. Like I would see them. That would be it. I wouldn't really see my wife much, but anyway. Yeah. She'll be home next week. We'll take another trip somewhere. Anyway, we'll get over it. So you traveled during COVID. All right. Did you write more books, or what'd you do new? Anything new?
I did so much. Like COVID for me was very pivotal. So I had my side hustle going on before corporate or before COVID hit. Mm-hmm. I got laid off March 4th last year. And so when I got laid off, I said, okay, I'm taking this prime time. And that's exactly, hey, Robert, that's exactly what I did is I took my part-time business full time. And so I optimized the time, and I knew I was going to be exiting corporate. I didn't know I was going to get laid off, but I knew I was going to be leaving corporate. So I had sold my house. I sold my truck. I sold my property, and I moved into a tiny apartment. This was like 5 months before COVID hit. And so when COVID happened, like I had already minimized my life, my bills, everything, because in anticipation of, making a career change, which I knew was going to impact my, financial flow and, all that. So, so I didn't have to take care of lawns. I didn't have to do anything. I just focused. So yes, I have written 2 books. I have done I've written 2 books. My last book just came out last week. And I was on the news a bunch of times last year, and it's been crazy. I have courses that are out now online, and coaching and working with corporate now, just in all different capacities. So yes, to all of the above.
Okay. Did you write the course, How to Quit Corporate? I did.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to have you in to speak about that one, but I'm just saying I would write that course.
Yeah, no, it was a really good move. But I actually do a lot of work with corporate folks now because I understand that world so much. Yeah. And I will tell you, I'm so glad to be out of it. Now, I don't encourage them to leave it, but I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not there.
Well, no, that Jen is the difference between you and me. All right. Is I have like this hard thing about keeping my mouth shut when I go in. And I'm always like, you guys should quit your jobs so they don't hire me to come in and motivate their team anymore. Yeah. They lose employees when I come. I don't know why.
You don't like your boss, screw them, leave.
So yeah, that's probably why you get more of those speaking gigs than I get. Yeah, I'm just saying. So you got the 2 books done. So you became very efficient. All right. But that's your corporate world. All right. In a corporate, you had to be efficient to do your job. But now there's no discipline. You had to, you actually were able to implement the discipline and go for it solo, right?
I had to. And I'm a person that's a very, creature of habit. And I've always woken up in the 4 o'clock hour. I mean, I've done that for like the last 10 years. And I'm not a morning person. It's just where I get a lot of stuff done. So I was getting up at 4:30. And so when I got laid off, I said, to heck with this. This is for the birds. I'm sleeping in. And I started sleeping in a little bit later and a little bit later, a little bit later. And I realized that I hated that routine. And so I learned pretty quickly that I had to get myself back into a routine. And I don't even think I still have a full routine like I did once upon a time. But I actually started a morning show. So I have a morning show. I go live at 6 a.m. every single day. And that is for other people, but it's also for myself to get myself like on track. So I'm up at 4:45 so that I go live at 4 or at 6 o'clock talking about mindset. And so that's just part of my routine, and it helps everybody else too. So,
I mean, Glenn Lundy, Glenn?
Glenn Lundy?
Glenn Lundy is his name. Yeah. He does a 6 a.m. show too. And he's up at 4 or 5 a.m. That's like 3 hours after I go to bed. Right. But that's my efficient time is like, I watch TV with my wife when she gets home, like between 9 p.m. and 10, she goes to bed. 10, I come back up to the office. I work for 3 more hours.
Yeah. But I mean, you have to know what works for you. And
that's it. It's your system, finding out what works for you. All right. But I do get what you said there that like, oh man, I just want to get lazy. And you start to see a pattern going, wait a minute, this is causing me to be lazy. I've got to correct this and go back to what was normal for me.
Yeah, right? I didn't like it at all. I mean, I felt like I'd wake up and I'm like, I've lost the day. And I physically wasn't feeling as energetic. That was my big thing. I just kind of felt like I was like a snail throughout the day. I'm like, I need to get up and I need to just hit it the way that I used to, because that's what I'm used to. So yeah.
So now I don't book an appointment before 11 a.m. Like I do these shows usually between 2 and 4 p.m. because that's like right now I'm in my high of the day. So that's when I want to do my show because I can be my best at it. Whereas you're finding 6 a.m. that's your best, or is that just the best for you to do the show then and the best for your audience?
I don't know that I am fully firing on all cylinders at 6 a.m. To be honest. I think right now is actually a really good time for me. It's definitely not late. Early, I like being up. So right now I'm in the grant process to take my show into like a studio, and I've got a much bigger vision for it. So when that happens, I'll probably pre-record everything and I'll have a different morning routine. But yeah, I don't know if like 6 a.m. like I do it and it's good, but right now I'm more in flow than at 6 a.m. for sure.
So for me, all right. So like mine has always been, and like COVID messed this up bad, but it in a way, it changed my routine. Was before that, I mean, I have a thing like 8 a.m. is when I get up. And at between 8 and 8:30, like I used to go to coffee and Starbucks, and that was like my meditation time. I literally coffee in hand, and I look like this stoned, grazed, hippie. But that's meditation to me. That was where I can just no computers and shut the mind off.
Yeah.
COVID screwed that up because I couldn't go sit at Starbucks. Right. But that opened up because my mom moved here in 2018. My mom and I started, as soon as we can go back and sit for coffee, that's a morning routine. 5 days a week, my mom and I go have coffee. And then on Saturday and Sunday, when my wife's home, my wife and I go have coffee. Yeah. So like that's routine for us. That's how I start my day. But like I said, I don't have an appointment before 11 a.m. I just am not cognitive enough to deal with someone else's issues before 11.
Yeah. I need my coffee. It needs to set in. Like, I'm not ready to have this conversation with you. Yeah. I get it. You got to know yourself, know what works. Yeah. So,
but if someone reached out to you, Jen, all right, and said, Jen, I want you to speak to my audience, but they're on Australia time. Are you going to adapt for that? Or are you going to go, hey, yeah, just not my thing?
Oh, I'm not afraid to work. I worked in Afghanistan. It was like 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Like, you were always in the office. I work around the clock. So I just try to make time for sleep, but no, I would do whatever it took. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I had a girl, Lauren, actually my virtual summit, we have them now on Saturdays, and virtual summit this past week, my last speaker of the day was this girl, Lauren Clement, and she's from Australia. And like when she submitted to speak, I'm like, wait a minute, this girl's in Australia. So I got her on. I said, what time is it? She's, it's like 4:20 a.m. And I'm like, whoa, you're dedicated. Okay. Yeah. You're going to speak in spot. I'll give it to you. No problem.
Yeah. It would be hard to like do that every single day. But I was talking with my grant writer about it yesterday. She was like, okay, so if they get you $3 million and you had to be up at 3, would you do it? I was like, yes. I mean, yeah, I'd adjust my schedule. So yeah.
So no, I would do the same thing. Like, I get up, there's 3 events every month that I either attend live or that I am on virtual that are, they literally, you go on camera if it's virtual at 7:30 a.m. And I'm a guy who's not functional, but I will get up for those. And I have one live one here in Dallas. I'm not sure if you're part of Bill Wallace's here in Dallas, his Success North Dallas. But, you know what I mean? That's one. I will get up and be live in the room at 7 a.m. As tired as I am. Why? Because it's a room full of, successful business owners. That's why I want to be around them. So it's like wherever success is, I'm willing to put in the effort to go get it. And I get that you're the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to stay true to you and your values and your beliefs and what works for you and your boundaries and all that. But there are times that, you got to throw in and just, pony up and get her done. I mean, that's what it takes. Yeah.
So let's talk about the books. All right. So you got 2 books done. What, you know what I mean? You want to go one at a time or you want to talk about them both?
So my first one, my third came out last week. So I'm on book 3. I think we talked about Reset my last time.
The Reset we talked about last year when you were on. Yeah.
Yep. And so then I came out, I wrote a book. Let me see. I think I got it right here.
Yeah, you gotta have copies because I don't have the copies. You didn't mail them to me ahead of time.
I don't even have the second one. I keep waiting for the order. I ordered like 300 books because I have an expo coming up. So I don't even have it, but my mom has it. She's like, I was like, send me pictures. But so I wrote a book on boundaries, which I love this book. I honestly, and it's funny that I've become this like boundaries expert, if you will. And I've done talks and seminars on boundaries. And, I used to think boundaries was like, do you kiss on the first date? Yes or no? I just didn't know the depth and breadth of boundaries, but it turns out that they are everything. And a few years ago is when I really started to dig into the topic. And when I started to implement them in my own life, I saw such immense change. And it put me in the driver's seat. So my tagline is the yes-no playbook to what you want in life, because boundaries will help you get what you want. And I use the analogy of of a bowling lane. And if you think of boundaries, like those bumpers, you know, which I found out is a US thing. I don't think they do this in other countries because people
Oh, so that's where you learn not to say that in Australia, huh?
Yeah, don't say it there because people are like, what are you talking about bumpers? But your standards, your goals, those are the pins. So as long as you know where you're going, those bumpers are going to keep you from going in the gutter. Because what happens when you go in the gutter? You don't hit your goal. You don't hit the pins. So those bumpers are boundaries. So I used that analogy a lot in the book. So that was a fun one. And then my most recent one, which came out last week, which I don't have a copy of it yet. I cannot wait to hold it. This one is so much fun, and it's Confidence is Queen. And the premise is the queen is the most powerful player in the game of chess. She can make all the moves. So with confidence, you can do everything. They say cash is king, but you need to have cash to be king. With confidence, you can make cash and you can do everything. So that's really what it boils down to, is how to dial up your confidence, how to step into your power and get the life that you know that you want, and do it fearlessly, just limitlessly. So it's a lot of fun. I talk a lot about my height actually in that book, which is a fun topic because I'm 6'1". So there's a lot of stories that people probably would never believe that, like, that's your life, but yeah, that's my life. So it's a fun book.
Well, you know, I mean, I like tall girls. That's why I married a 5'9" girl. So yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
she loves it because she actually says I can actually wear heels because I'm 6'3" myself. She's like, I got a man I can wear heels with finally. So.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Heels have become my branding. And so I'm usually out in 3 to 4 inch heels minimum. And that's become my thing. So I'm usually 6'4", 6'5" when I go out in public now.
Now there's a woman I can look up to.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yep. And your wife can wear her like super big heels around me. Still feel short.
Well, interesting because you actually talked about, you know what I mean? Your second book there was about boundaries, and, you know, some unique things that I've learned about boundaries. And I call it setting standards. Like in 2018 in my world, I was like, you know what? I'm sick of dealing with tire kickers. So I set standards. All right. And, you know, it's kind of like boundaries. And that was, okay, I'm not dealing with people who don't want to, you know, take action. It's like my newsletter this Sunday is actually about this subject of I don't ask twice. All right. So like the show, you know, you've been on the show twice. So it's like you'll get all kinds of invitations. But to the standard person, I say, you know, want to be on my show? Yeah. I'll get to it. I don't go back and ask them a second time. Yeah. And that's part of setting boundaries. Why? Because if you wanted me to interview you, you'll step up and go on. You know what I mean? Right. I think I sent you, because we changed email systems, I sent you an email and said, hey, if you got something new, go ahead and do it. I didn't send you a second one. You noticed that. Right. Right. But you jumped on it. And those are the people I want to work with. Those are the people I want to interview because they're doing things.
Right. Right. It's like me coaching. I'm like, if you aren't coachable, I don't want to work with you. If you don't really want to do the work, I'm not interested in working with you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I've had those clients that I basically have had to let go of my coaching. It's like, you're not doing the work. Don't waste my time.
That's it. Yeah. It's a relationship, you know? And so having those standards. So the way I see between the two, standards and boundaries, is standards are the goals. They are those pins that they're your objective. Like, I'm not dealing with people that aren't coachable. I'm not going to chase people. And then your boundaries are, your day-to-day life. So if you then went and chased somebody, then you have broken the boundary to get you to your standard of I'm not chasing people. So that's kind of the relationship I see between the two. The boundaries are what help you keep your standards in line. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm not chasing people. I'm not like, be my friend. No.
Nope. So, and I thought that was something to do with age. So, you know, my mom said, you know what I mean? You kind of let go of some of this crap as you get older. Yeah. And I think you're probably 10 something years younger than me, but like, as I got older, I'm starting to see how my dad was. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I see why my dad said, screw that.
Yeah. We become our parents. Yes.
That is the one commercial that my wife and I laugh at, but we're scared to laugh at it when my mom's in the room. Which is the insurance commercial where they're talking about, I help people not become their parents.
Oh,
It's like this guy's like a life coach coaching people how not to be their parents. It's an insurance ad of some
oh,
sort.
that's funny. That's funny. I'll have to Google
Because
it.
because one of the things is they're going through like Home Depot or something like that,
Uh-huh.
and he's trying to coach them about how not to say things rudely. And the one guy walks up and he goes, "This is a good paintbrush," to some stranger, and the guy goes, "He didn't ask," you know. And the other one is there's this guy walking by with blue hair, and the coach guy is going, "We all see it, we all see it, we all
Yeah.
see it," and the one girl goes, "Blue hair, blue hair," because you think about. My father would have went, "Blue hair. What's that guy? Nuts?" You know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh, that's funny.
Oh.
That's funny. I am
So-
glad though that there are a lot of things about my parents that I've picked up. I mean, there are some things that I'm like, I don't need to go there, but
Yeah.
that's like 2%. Otherwise, I think they did pretty well.
No, like there's things that I get from my mother very well, and there's things that I get from my dad.
Mhm.
God bless. So I miss my dad, but and I'm glad that I got him. But then there's those little things. They're little frustrations. We're all gonna have them, and I get it. So
Yeah.
Well, Jen, you seems to be, pretty fun in some of the stuff. What's some of the fun things you've done over the past year that you went? You know what? I'm living it now, baby. That you
Oh my
want to share
gosh,
with our-
I've been to Vegas, I think 3 times already this year.
Yeah.
That's always fun. Let's see.
Okay, when you go to Vegas, do you see the shows or do you gamble?
I don't gamble. I don't gamble and I don't drink, but I love to dance. So that's really my thing.
Okay,
I have seen shows. I've seen I've seen Magic Mike. Fun. But I really like to go dance. That's my thing. Is I want to go get all gussied up, pretty, and then go. And I like laying by the pool. So I'd say those are the 2 things that I enjoy about Vegas the most.
Okay.
And the food's good. The food is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I know. I've eaten at some really cool places in Vegas myself. So I got to agree with you there. So I actually ate at a hole in a wall in Vegas one time that like my taxi driver, I'm like, I want to go Italian. He goes, I'll take you to a place. And if you don't like it, you call me to pick you up, take you back to your hotel, and I'll pay for your dinner if you don't like it. And I'm like,
Wow,
okay,
that's an endorsement.
you got my endorsement. Let's go try it.
Okay.
So yeah, that Vegas. What else have you done?
So I went to the Grand Canyon, and that was a lot of fun. So what I learned about the Grand, and I just flew in and flew out, and they tell you like, don't go from the top to the bottom and back in a day. So of course that just challenges me. I'm like, I can do it in a day, but they tell you not to. But I did it in November, so it wasn't quite as hot, but it was really interesting. I got these ice things for my shoes because I started, it was 16 degrees and ice on the top, and then it was 80 degrees down at the bottom. And so we flew in, and it was Labor Day. Is that what's in, or Veterans Day? What's in November? Whichever holiday.
November is Veterans Day. Veterans Day.
Okay. And it's free. There's 5 times a year where it's free to go into the park. And so I flew in on a Tuesday. It was Veterans Day the next day. So we went and did the Grand Canyon. That was fun. And then I flew up back the next day. So yeah, Grand Canyon, that was great. Let's see. I've been to Nashville a couple times. I went up to interview. So I'm working for a magazine. I work for Recovery Today magazine, and I interview folks. And I interviewed Jack Cassidy, and so that was a lot of fun. And I'm flying up to interview Saving Abel shortly, so that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. So that's fun. Nashville, Chicago. I was just
Chicago wasn't like still locked down. Like I hear Chicago and New York are 2 places you don't want to go right now. Yeah.
So I was there seeing my sister. My sister lives in Chicago, and she's pretty much locked down because my niece was less than 2 when I went to go see them. So there's not much that we do anyway, other than just hang out in the house. So I think we got out a little bit, but it was just to walk. Maybe we ate out once, but I don't know how open it is, but we had a pretty domestic, just time together. We didn't do a whole lot. Hung out with my niece.
So and Nashville now, like I've not spent like a couple days in Nashville. I've gone through Nashville a ton because I always used to ride motorcycle up to Pennsylvania and to the East Coast. And Nashville's like one of my favorite coffee shops is in Nashville. And just before the pandemic, my wife and I gave an investment to a girl she's building Celebration House in Nashville, to where it's just like off the Party Central, but it's a place for women, like girls' bachelorette. So like a bachelorette getaway, right? Or you know what I mean, type deal. and she built this house. So we gave some money in to help her as an investment. And I've yet to go up and see that. But Nashville's an interesting town that a lot of people talk about. Man, you got to go there. So, and you go there now. How many times you been there? Said 3? No.
Nashville, I've only been once, and then I'm heading up there next month.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I was there maybe in July this year, July 2020, or June or July of 2021. And I mean, it was crazy. I would say they're pioneering the no mask thing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of no masks, just a lot of people. That was a fun time. So I was walking down, I don't know why this sticks in my head. So I was just walking around by myself, enjoying the city. Like, again, I don't drink. So I'm walking around, I'm enjoying the music and the people and whatever. And this guy, he's like a younger kid. He's maybe 23 or something. He walks up to me and he just starts talking. So I'm just talking to him, and he's like, I lost my phone. My girlfriend is going to kill me. I'm like, you better find your phone. Like, we're talking. And he goes, you're pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, thanks. Cool. Awesome. Whatever. And he's like, you're like my mom. And I was like, oh. Okay. So I'm there in my life. That was my Nashville experience. It was like, hey, Mom.
Lesson, ladies and gentlemen, this is a lesson. Do not tell a girl she reminds you of your mom. All right. Not a good thing.
Oh, he's like,
that's not a good pickup line.
Right. I was like, because I didn't totally know where this was going. I wasn't flirting with him. He wasn't flirting with me, but I mean, he's drunk. I don't know what's going to come out of his mouth, but I didn't expect that. It was just one of those, I was like, oh, I'm there in my life. I crossed that. Okay. Yeah. So.
Wow.
That was my Nashville experience.
So you've done some fun things throughout the pandemic. You've changed out. I got some books, some coaching programs going on. What do you see, Jen, going for? All right, in the next 2 years?
Yeah, the morning show. I have a big vision for that, and the morning show. It's called Mindset in the Morning. And, we're used to hearing about, like, you need to exercise and work your body out. You need to make sure you meditate and do things for your spiritual self. But what are we doing for our mind? And the truth is that with COVID, we've gone from the CDC reports about 20 to 25% poor mental health to 40. And mental health is this icky word, but everybody has mental health. You have mental health. I have mental health. It's like physical health. We all have physical health. We all have mental health. It's like people haven't like wrapped their head around this concept. So everything I do is mindset. And I get up every day and I have 20 minutes where I talk about something that's relevant. And how do you deal with rejection? How do you deal with failure? How do you find your tribe? How do you, how do you deal with resistance? And so we talk about real life topics that, and how to navigate those with your mind, because when you know better, then you can do better. And when we go out and face the day, you just turn on the news or drive down the road or go into the office, and it's like you get hit with a million things, and all of a sudden you're riding the wave of crazy. And you don't have to, as long as you understand how to use this. So Mindset in the Morning, I have a really big vision for how this is going to look, which is why I've spent a lot of money on this grant writer. I have a lot of faith in her and what this vision is going to look like. So in the next 2 years, I really want to see this get on more people's radar, because I want, I'm about transformation. I want to make an impact in people's lives. I want people to go out in the day and say, I'm in the driver's seat. It's not what's happening to me, but I'm happening to life. It's like you making the decision that I'm not chasing people. I'll send you one email and then you can come to me. And if not, that's you in the driver's seat. So that's one. And then a lot more speaking gigs. So I have found that is really my niche right there, is being and entertaining. Okay, so slightly different. Last week, I was an MC down in Houston at this event at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Huge if you've ever been there. And I had to raise the energy in this place because it was a little too big for the amount of people that were in there. So you really have to dial up the energy. And I'm like, I know this crowd. So I said, okay, DJ, on my cue, I want you to play this song. And he starts playing the song. I said, all right, DJ, let's show him what's up. And he goes, "This is how we do it." You know that song from back in the 90s, Montel Jordan? So anyway, but I was on stage and I was entertaining and I was, dancing and I was singing and I hit every note just on key. And I didn't expect to do any of that. And we did it all throughout the day, just dancing and performing. And that's my sweet spot. So for me in the next 2 years, it's this morning show. It's out there speaking. Those are going to be my two main. And I'll still keep up with my podcast. I'll still keep writing. I'll still keep working for the magazine and coaching. But my two big things are going to be the morning show and speaking.
So then I should have no problem being able to reel you in for either the live blog and video con in November or for my virtual event. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I'd love to come speak.
It's funny how I get you to
last year. I think it was.
Yeah. It's funny how I get you to admit that on camera. So now I have it recorded that you said yes.
I have proof.
Because it is. And I've started bringing in my virtual event is about online marketing, but I started bringing in someone about mindset or sales every month, because to me, those are two things. We can do all the online marketing in the world, but if your mindset isn't right, forget it. Yep. And it's interesting the way you brought it up, that I want to go back to something I dealt with my own life and tell you how much you just went bam to Tim's head. Was in the early 2002. The movie came out. It was called A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe. Do you remember that movie?
Good movie. Yeah.
At the time, I have epilepsy and I take a medication for that. That medication side effect gives me depression. And at the time, my doctor's about to prescribe me something for the depression. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to give me a drug to counteract the side effect of another drug. Where does that, you know what I mean? When I played out in my head, where does that go? And then I seen the movie A Beautiful Mind. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be painful. And yes, there's going to be times that I'm going to be depressed and have to work through it. But you know what? This mind can take me through it.
Oh,
and what you just said went click. That's was the difference it made in my life. That was almost 20 years ago now, 19 years ago. Yeah.
So let me just tell you this. This will stick with you. Pills don't give you skills.
Yeah.
It's
one of my clients wrote a book that says pills are skills, not pills. One of my clients wrote a book on that. Yeah. And she was a psychiatrist that prescribes the pills. Or the psychologist. Yeah. She was that for years and she retired and she said, I hate where we went with that.
Yeah.
So now I get it. I got to take a pill so I don't have seizures. All right. I'm okay with that. But I love it. I'm 55 years old and my doctor always says, I can't believe you're 55 years old and you're still only taking one pill. And I'm like, if I can get away with that pill, or if I can get rid of that pill, I would. Yeah. Right. That's how determined I am to not want to rely on drugs.
Yeah. Anyway. And good for you. I mean, and that's not to say there isn't validity behind them, but,
pills,
it took me a long time. It took me 35 years to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, let's really face this thing head on. Cause I just allowed life to happen to me. And I'm just talking about myself. I'm not projecting myself onto anybody else. This is Jen's story. But as I turned on the news, I would, whatever happened. And as something would happen in my life. And I'm like, why does this always happen to me? I was like this big victim in my life. And it took a lot of courage for me to stand up and look at myself in the mirror and say, why don't I like this chick? What's the matter with you? And to learn to love and respect her and understand her mind. And now, I mean, my self-love, there was a reason I had such crappy relationships for so long, because I didn't value myself. So why would somebody else value me? I mean, it's a whole ecosystem. So once you really get in and you do the work, your life will change completely. Now, if you have pills, again, that doesn't give you skills. You may have an elevation in your serotonin or whatever that is, but do you have coping skills for life? I mean, you just feel a little better. You still have the same, stuff that's going on in your life. So how do you deal with it? You got to get in here. It's the only way.
But on the flip side of that, like I take a pill for a medical reason. And if my father would have taken his pills for his medical reasons, he'd be alive. So that being said,
100%. Yep. And some people have cases where they need that level to be leveled out. But
All right. Well, Jen, it's been a great having you back on the show again today. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure everybody can go to find out more about these books and get a hold of you. What's the best website?
So JenSugermeyer.com. As long as you spell sugar with an E, you'll be able to find me. I'm the one, the only. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm probably a little more active on Instagram. But yeah, JenSugermeyer.com will get you to everything. That's the master hub.
Cool. So before you go, all right, we had a game last year, but we changed the game up this year.
Okay.
We have 5 envelopes, all right, and I don't know which questions are in which envelopes. You get to pick 3 envelopes, and we open them one at a time and ask questions.
Oh my
Pick
goodness.
a number 1 through 5. You get three numbers.
3.
3. I love it. I love people who love the number 3. Next number.
1.
1. Okay. One more.
5.
5.
I'm feeling odd today.
You're feeling odd today? Okay, so we're going to put those
3, 1,
2 over
5,
there.
odd
We're
number.
not asking those. We're going to open up the first one, number 3, and see what the questions you get to answer today is.
Okay.
I love this one. Who was the better lead singer of Van Halen? David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
David Lee Roth.
Okay. Which coffee is better, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you're not the same as me. So, and which do you prefer, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
But I grew up with Star Trek, but I do
know.
prefer Star Wars.
So you see, it's interesting. I don't know the questions you're going to get asked, but I got a bunch of them in envelopes. So let's open the next envelope and see what we've got this time. Ooh, I love it. I love that this one came up. First one on this one here is podcast or music in the car.
Oh, in the car. Oh, podcast.
Yeah. In the car, it's like I'm half and half because there's times I want to dance in the car. I don't dance, but there's times I want to groove and there's times I want to just listen to it. So, but this next one, I knew I was waiting for this next one that came up, and that was high heels or boots.
Oh, heels. Hello. I do have boots, but I love my heels.
Come on, you in Texas, girl. You got to have boots with heels.
I own my boots, but I rock them.
Give me some boots. We're gonna have to compare. We're gonna have to see each other live sometime and have boots on because I got my boots that are custom boots. So.
Oh, let's do it. Yes.
Yeah. And the last one on this one here is at the movies. Do you do popcorn or candy?
Popcorn.
Popcorn. All the butter and stuff onto it too, right?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Number 3. I like it when I get the funny ones. Ooh. Where would you rather watch the movie? At home or in the movie theater?
At home.
At home? Yeah, I'm after COVID, I'm more like, I like to lounge in my chair and sit in my pajamas to watch it.
It's been so long since I've been to a movie theater. I'm like, what does it feel like to be in the movies? I don't even know.
Yeah. So, would you rather have a hamburger or a taco?
Taco.
Taco? I think you said that because we had that one last time. So, and another one of them comparison questions. The last one for you today is, who is the better basketball player, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Michael Jordan.
I knew it. Now I like you. And that is how we play the game now. And it's a fun way to do it. And I have to, every time we do it, we revamp the questions. But Jen, it has been great having you on again. And thank you so much for coming in, sharing some new stuff. And, one more time, repeat the website so they can come check you out and tell them about anything you got for them to come get for free.
Yes, www.jensugermeyer.com. And I do have 2 freebies out on the website. One is how to connect with yourself. It is something that I have trademarked. It's called Date Yourself. And it's about how to reconnect. Like, how do you even start that process? And the other is a mindset hack that will change your life. I'm telling you, it will change your life. So go out. They're 2 freebies.
Cool.
Cost you nothing. So to JenSugermeyer.com, sugar with an E. That's it.
Cool. I appreciate it so much. So thank you again for being on here. And to you, the guests, I want to thank you guys for coming on and enjoying our show today. Be sure to go check out Jen at JenSugermeyer.com and stay tuned because we'll have another guest tomorrow. All right. On the Tim Gillette Show. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you then.